Some games are so incredible that they stand out in gaming history and are fondly remembered for years. Devil May Cry is one of these games. It was released in 2001, and it took the world by storm. Capcom saw so much potential in it that before the game had even finished its development, they greenlit a sequel. But the original team wouldn't be involved in the new game, and the ensuing development would go on to be the stuff of legend. The result? One of the biggest train wrecks in gaming history. Or, the best third-person shooter of 2003. Featuring Dante from the Shin Megami Tensei series. Let's look back on this gem of gaming greatness. As Devil May Cry 1 finished development, Capcom had approved a sequel. This wouldn't be developed by Hideki Kamiya and Team Little Devils. Rather, as gaming was beginning to shift with the death of arcades, Capcom was attempting to pivot more into console gaming, and so Capcom Production Studio 1 were set to work on the new project. These developers weren't experienced with the series or console gaming in general. As a result, Devil May Cry 2 experienced a tumultuous development. To call it troubled would probably be an understatement. With 6 months left before its deadline, Hideaki Itsuno was brought in. At this point, they'd managed to animate Dante's signature stinger attack, and that's about it. Itsuno replaced the original director. Somehow, this original director's identity remains a mystery, but if this was what my name was going to be attached to, I'd want my name hidden too. Eventually, Devil May Cry 2 would see the light of day in early 2003. This time, Dante and a new character named Lucia have to team up to stop an evil CEO from summoning a demon and taking over the world. This time, both our characters are playable and have their own set of missions to play through. This time, Dante doesn't really say much. Apparently, somebody important didn't like how Dante was in the first game. I guess I can't blame them. I mean, why have a main character with anything resembling a personality?
The one to fill your dark soul with light!
Dante sure looks cool, though. Of all the silent, brooding cardboard cutouts, Dante's the coolest looking. The funny thing is, Lucia gets a little more of a story and personality. Apparently, she was created by the bad guy to betray Dante in a plot twist that I've never ever seen before. Ever. But there's so little story either way. It's just the first game again if Dante had about 20 seconds worth of lines for the entire game. He's only got like one good line.
I was going to be the king of this world!
King? Yeah. Here's your crown.
The troubled development really shows here, as the new character gets more material to work with while the main character just gets nothing, but considering it's just the first game again, I wonder why they even bothered.
You fool. Everyone is destined to die.
The lack of a compelling narrative allows players to focus on the true essence of the game. Mindless demon-slaying action without the burden of an engaging story weighing you down. Devil May Cry 2 embraces an avant-garde approach, daring to redefine what players expect from a video game narrative. Why should a sequel give you a new story? Why does a narrative need to be cohesive at all? Why can't it just be random events with no apparent connection to each other? The minimalist combat system is another brilliant design decision, allowing players to achieve a state of button-mashing nirvana. Devil May Cry 2 is a breath of fresh air compared to its predecessor, which seemed to cater to a niche audience obsessed with the need for challenging gameplay. This installment gently mocks those who reveled in the challenging nature of the first game, suggesting that perhaps they were missing the point of gaming as an inclusive, enjoyable pastime, rather than an exclusive club for the self-proclaimed elite. This time, you can still do combos, and you still have Devil Trigger powers, and hoo boy, is Devil Trigger effective. Forget about the intricacies of combo systems and skill. Devil May Cry 2's straightforward approach beckons players into a zen-like trance, where victory is achieved effortlessly. Who needs intricate combos when you can just mindlessly mash buttons and still emerge victorious? And speaking of combos, if you didn't enjoy that aspect of the first game, you'll love this next part. Devil May Cry 2's expansive and desolate levels are a stroke of genius, strategically limiting the player's ability to engage in flashy combos. By presenting vast open landscapes devoid of intricate obstacles or enemies, the game challenges players to find creativity in simplicity. Through these vast empty levels, players can explore the depths of their combat abilities. And just look at that art direction! No more spooky castles, no more Resident Evil aesthetics. Now we have Urban Landscape 1, Urban Landscape 2, Metal Gear Solid 2. Why bother with intricately crafted environments when you can revel in the beauty of generic, uninspired landscapes? It's a bold move that highlights the game's commitment to anti-conformity. And the stuff you'll find in these levels is just as uninspired. A monkey monster, tanks, a helicopter. Is that the Moonlight Butterfly? Why is Phantom back? Truly, original was a word unknown to these developers. Why be original when you have Capcom's name on the box selling your product? Enemies are largely not threatening. Bosses are easily trampled over. I mean, just look at Arius, the CEO villain. Wow, what a challenge. My hands are sweating from the nervousness. Can I defeat him before I die of boredom? The combo system remains, but the giant wastelands this game calls levels are so large that getting in to fight and build your style ranking, ironically, is harder than any of this game's challenges. What's harder? Getting a good style ranking, or actually being entertained playing this? But I guess it's not all bad. This time, you have all your moves from the beginning. Instead, you buy flat power upgrades for your weapons. It's a little disappointing that you're basically just buying numbers. It's like an RPG with all the fun taken out of it. But at least you always have all your cool moves. And now guns are able to be upgraded. It always felt weird to me that you just kind of find them in the first game, but then you never actually upgrade them or anything. Once you found them, that was the extent of interaction you had with them other than choosing which one to shoot stuff with. They've also improved on the lock-on system. Now all enemies, not just bosses, show their health when locked onto, and there's an indicator that shows what you're locked onto. But sometimes things don't want to cooperate. I hated this particular boss with a passion because of the auto lock-on constantly disorienting me. This combined with the archaic fixed camera is a recipe for disaster. After all, the deadliest enemy in Devil May Cry 2 is probably the camera. The absence of a compelling narrative isn't a flaw, but rather an intentional departure from the shackles of traditional storytelling, inviting players to question the very nature of storytelling in video games. Devil May Cry 2's landscapes may seem uninspired to the untrained eye, but they are in fact a canvas upon which players can project their interpretations. The unremarkable level design isn't a misstep, but a deliberate choice to break free from the constraints of conventional environmental aesthetics. In essence, Devil May Cry 2 isn't just a game, it's an existential odyssey, challenging the very fabric of our preconceived notions about video game design. In doing so, it makes players ask the hard questions. Why is this like this? Why are we here? Why did I use my time to play this? The fact that this game even saw the light of day is nothing short of a miracle, given how far off the rails the development went. But ultimately, getting much in the way of entertainment or joy from playing this game would be even more of a miracle. My favorite part of the game was when I beat Lucia's campaign, because it meant I didn't have to play this anymore. The best thing this game did was bring Hideaki Itsuno on board with the series, giving it a steward to look over it and try to guide it in the right direction for the future. With how this game turned out, Itsuno went to Capcom himself and pitched a third game with himself as director from the very beginning of development. And they said yes. Was that one any better? That's a story for another video. In conclusion, this is the second Devil May Cry game, and it is truly a Devil May Cry game on the PlayStation 2. It's just a shame it's not any good, but let me know what you think of this postmodern classic in the comments below. Thanks for watching.